Awesome. Fire away, Brendan.
What's the biggest challenges of driving a NASCAR? Like, is it the heat, the handling, or the braking? Or is
So
anything
for
different
me, when
than
I was racing the Xfinity, which they are Xfinity cars now, the biggest thing I think used to is two things. One, the tires were radials, and I've never raced on radial tires before, so that was crazy. I mean, just how the tire moves, the sidewall flexes, it's totally different than anything I've been on a bike supply. So that was a major challenge for me. And then truck arms. I've never driven anything with a truck arm rear suspension. I've only ever driven short track with 3-link rear suspension. So that was definitely an adjustment. Yeah, and two, like the times there with no engineering support, you had to figure it all out in an hour in practice. So it's definitely a challenge trying to muscle those big stock cars around those tracks.
Yeah, for sure. So what are you doing these days post NASCAR?
So I ran the NASCAR Xfinity Series up until 2014. And then I decided to step back from that and just, I started a young family. I got 2 daughters. I'm married. Working with the family business still to this day. I'm racing just like a late model tour, basically like a cars tour or a pass type tour around Canada. We won 2 championships in 4 years. So it's been really, really going well. Doing a little bit of road racing this year, hopefully, and really just racing anything I can. We ran super late models for a few years, won a championship there, and basically just trying to have some fun. I do miss the NASCAR stuff a lot, but it just takes a lot of fun to do that now. So I can't see myself ever returning, but I definitely miss it.
Definitely, for sure. Have you won any races in the Xfinity Series? If so, how many?
Yeah, I've won, I think, 11 in the 7 years that I ran. Like 18 poles. I don't even know how many top fives and whatnot. They have a stat somewhere on it. But yeah, we won races. I won the last 2 out of 3 of the last races the last year I ran before we decided to call it quits. So yeah, like I said, it's a great series. We had success there. It was time to move on.
So are you semi-retired or are you retired, you think?
From the Pinty series?
From racing in general.
No, I'm still racing. Like I said, I'm still doing late model stuff all around here. And hopefully we won the championship last year, and we're going to try and win 3 of them hopefully this year. It'll be tough, but we're going to try our best.
What are late model cars like compared to stock cars?
Excuse me. They're definitely a lot faster. They're lighter. They're the same kind of car, say what like Bubba Paul or Ty Majeski and all those guys race. They're awesome. They're definitely cheaper, but they're an awesome race car. I mean, I definitely want to venture off into the United States and try and make some races there. Our cars are very similar, so that always helps. But yeah, they're basically like just a giant go-kart, man. They're stuck to the ground and they handle so well and they're working good. And we only run crate engines, so they may only make like 450 horsepower or something like that.
All right. Fire away, Brendan.
And do you have a favorite car, like a favorite car that you raced or chassis?
So my favorite car of any car I've ever raced would have been my 2015 Outlaw Super Late model. They got the big wings on the back. They weigh like 2,500 pounds, got about 700 horsepower. I mean, those things are insane. I absolutely loved it. And that chassis was a McCall Enterprise car that was built right here in London, Ontario. There was just something about that car. It was fantastic. We won 2 championships with it. And then I sold it to one of my best friends. And I probably shouldn't have done that because he ended up winning the next year. So I should have kept that one. I know where it is. So if I ever have some bad race, I might have to buy that one back.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. They used to say in the old days that teammates weren't a thing back in the 80s because everybody wanted all the good stuff for themselves.
Yeah. Do
you know anything about that culture?
A little bit. I dealt with it a little bit. Like I said, when I was racing here in NASCAR, I had 2 teammates, and believe it or not, the year we were winning the championship, my teammate ended up taking a brand new rear diff, so rear gear, and gave me the old one. Sure enough, I was leading the race. All I had to do was finish the race. I won the championship, and we broke the gear. So I lost the championship to DJ Kennington that year in 2010 because of a parts failure. So I know a little bit about that. But this day and age, I mean, there's so many. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. After COVID, the parts situation is kind of tough, but I can't ever see it getting back to that. But I definitely heard a lot of stories, even from people around here, that teammates were more of a disturbance than a help back in the day.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I must ask, what was driving the TRG car for Kevin Buckler like?
I loved it. Kevin was always super fair and super nice to me. I got to work with Butch Hilton, Tim Rice. There's so many great guys there. I mean, we had a really strong thing cooking there, and just when Mammut stopped sponsoring the truck, and then Kevin and his team, the whole the racers group there, decided that they wanted to go cup racing. So it kind of shut down the truck program, go cup racing, and kind of left us without a seat, which was unfortunate. But I definitely think with those guys, the whole TRG group, we could have won some races once I got a little more experience. I think we were like 5th or 6th in points when we stopped running in 09 and had some good runs. Just a couple mistakes, but that was definitely a good thing happening, and it definitely sucks it came to an early end.
Yeah. Have you seen that TRG has started to rise again in the GT series? Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I did hear a little bit about it because they were so dominant for so many years, you know, with Andy Lally and Pat. There was another Pat, I forget, was it Pat Long? I think it's Pat Long. Anyway, really good GT road racers, and man, they were dominant forever. So I'm glad they're getting back in it.
Yeah, for sure. I saw them race in Nashville at the IndyCar race back a couple years ago when I went there, and before that, they had gone under the radar after their cut program shuttered down. And I just remember thinking when I saw the TRG running, the TRG, let me say that again, the TRG GT car. It's kind of hard to say because there's so many G and T's. But anyway, I saw their car running in the streets in Nashville, and I just remember thinking, wait, TRG's back? That's awesome.
Yeah, those GT cars are wild. I mean, I think the car, when you buy a GT3 car, right away it's like 340,000 US, and then they do all that crazy work to them. So I mean, they're pretty wild machines. I definitely have never had a chance to drive a car like that, but definitely would be a dream come true. They're they're probably not as fast as the V8 supercars that your friend there probably likes to watch. Those cars are pretty amazing. I really wish I could see them live.
Yeah, Bathurst is a big event. Yeah. I would say the Bathurst 1000 is probably the Daytona 500 for V8 supercars, I would say.
Yes, yeah, I watch it every year. I wake up early for it and watch it for 4 days, pretty much. Yeah. It's awesome. Yeah,
it's a lot of fun, I've heard. And have you ever raced in cars like that? Not V8 supercars, but ones that are similar, or no?
Not really. I did a little bit of like a Mustang kind of GT car, really, but it was more so stock than it was like as wild as a V8 supercar or even a GT Porsche or anything like that. But I'm trying to dabble a little bit into some road racing that's similar. I mean, there's some Corvettes that race and BMWs that race, so definitely nothing to the standard of a V8 supercar, but it's an OEM kind of racing series, if you will, and yeah, pretty cool stuff.
Definitely. So, what are your hopes for the future with your models and all that?
I just want to keep racing, right? Everybody knows the sport's expensive. Life nowadays is expensive. As long as I'm having fun, that's really all I care. As long as my girls are enjoying being around the racing, that's all that matters. I learned many years ago, if you're not having fun doing what you're doing, the results won't show. So as long as you're having a good time doing what you're doing, the results seem to come a little easier. So that's what we're focusing on, just having some fun and racing whenever we can.
Awesome to hear. So that's all we have for now, but we thank you for coming on.
No problem. Thanks, guys. Anytime, and look forward to talking again soon.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you,
Where can people find you?
I'm not on Twitter anymore. That's kind of a nasty place. So my Facebook page is a personal page now because my fan page got shut down. So it's just JR Fitzpatrick. And then I got Instagram, also just JR Fitzpatrick. Pretty simple. I post quite a bit about racing, pictures, and family. And I don't think I'm an exciting guy, but hey, if you want to follow along and watch some racing stuff, I always enjoy posting.
Awesome. Thanks, Brendan, for being a good co-host.
Thank you, Doug, and thank you, JR.
No problem, man. Talk soon.